Hi, it's Leslie Meredith with Breakbulk Events and Media. I am here in the studio with Akshay from Barrak, and they just finished a panel on congestion and chaos. So that must have been very interesting. You're the sponsor, you were on the panel.
Yes.
I can't wait to hear about it.
Well, it was very interesting, and you know, if you're obviously from our region, you will understand this strikes us very deep in the heart, in the sense that there are a lot of geopolitical issues around the congestion. Just to make your audience aware of what's going on. Ever since, we've had a series of mishaps almost ever since COVID. We had COVID. We had the two wars. We had the Russia-Ukraine war, and then the war in the Middle East. That created a roll-on effect on the Red Sea, where a lot of the Houthis started attacking a lot of ships, etc. It therefore became very unsafe for ships to go through the Red Sea and up to the Suez, therefore disrupting world trade in our part of the region in a huge way. And that's the Red Sea crisis to begin with.
Yes.
With the new administration in the US, we are seeing moves to try and alleviate a lot of those tensions. But I think my and the panel's discussion on this was very enlightening, because we feel there is still a way to go. The geopolitical scenario is one of those. There have been a number of other factors that have contributed to this. Obviously, world trade has increased. Let's remember, you also have a China that hasn't really got up to its full potential after COVID in terms of its manufacturing and its economy. So there are challenges there. There are other challenges to the world economy. We are now looking at tariffs and trade wars as well. So it's chaos, really the word chaos, in world trade at the moment. And within this whole paradigm of what's going on is what we're trying to do, make the world go around with logistics, right? And foster global trade. So our panel was really about trying to find solutions, short-term as well as long-term, on how to alleviate this entire crisis. Some of the key takeaways that we took away in the short term were that there has to be a lot more collaboration between shipping lines, logistics providers, and port authorities worldwide. That's a short-term takeaway. There is also there should be a mechanism where a lot of the larger ports in the region, such as Jebel Ali, as well, should make way for a lot of the second-tier ports to sort of redistribute cargo that's coming in or going out. At times, it's really about geography. We talked about various options around that. In a longer-term scenario, we're also looking at new trade routes that should be set up. At the moment, the world uses the Suez and the Panama, but we're sitting here in 2025 running global trade on tools that were essentially 100 or 200 years old. So we need to try and think out of the box. There are a number of initiatives that are out there with India, Middle East, and Europe. There is the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. So there are a number of other initiatives that are being talked about to have alternate supply chain routes and trade routes in place. So it was very engaging. It was very, very interesting. I hope we gave the audience a view of what was going on, and hopefully providing some answers. We cannot provide all answers. These are interesting times that we live in, and I think if I were to put a seat on any other time in history, this would be it, where I could actually come in and watch global trade evolve and face these challenges. I don't think global trade or we as such in the world have ever faced anything like this until, if someone was here in the Industrial Revolution 100 odd years ago, they would have probably faced something similar. But of this magnitude, it's only now.
Right. And other factors, sort of around it, developments in technology. Um,
AI.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Well,
We'll
well,
have.
well. Very specifically from my perspective, call me old-fashioned, but I've always believed technology is an enabler, and not someone. So you have a lot of people come up to you and say, "Well, technology or AI is going to replace one, two, and three." I don't look at it that way. I think our industry specifically is is an industry based on people, um, really based on grit and work. We're very blue collared in our approach, and we need to be, right. It's a very at times you feel it's a very non-glamorous industry to be in. We're not finance professionals. We're logistics people. Um, so AI and IT have a very large role. It's really in the collection of data. It's in the collection of models to extrapolate and have some predictability around supply chain movements. Um, and if that predictability can be done in a more effective manner through AI, that is how we can give our customers the best.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's really about technology being an enabler as opposed to me being replaced by an AI or a robot.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, Generally speaking, do you think that, particularly in the U.S., I would say, is there the do you really feel that there's a trend toward isolationism, and is it feasible for the U.S. to um, replace things that they've been importing with their own produced goods inside the country?
Well, look, from my perspective, I think what and not to sound political, but the whole view on bringing manufacturing back to the US is a noble cause. Um, there is a lot of merit to doing that. There was a time, um, uh, not too far in my own lifetime where the US was a manufacturing hub, and that over the past couple of years has moved on to other locations. Um, uh, I see nothing wrong in sort of bringing that back to the US. Um, I really don't want to define it as an isolationist kind of a role. I do, but I think there are every country looks out for their own national interests, for their own economic interest. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think uh, they shouldn't lose sight of the fact that we live in an age now where taking a flight from New York or anywhere in mainland USA to Dubai is as simple as that. What you see in Dubai is probably what you experience in the US. We live in a global village. We realize that, and I think whatever happens from a economic policy perspective in the US, in the larger picture, they need to be very aware, protect the economic or national interest in the US, but larger picture, be aware of the world being a global village, and you cannot live in isolation.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you,
You've
Leslie.
covered a
Thank you so
lot
much.
of ground, given us some great information. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's a
All
pleasure.
right.
Take care.